This is North Sentinel Island, home to the North Sentinelese, and they're one of the last uncontacted tribes here on Earth. They're fiercely protective of their isolation, and approaching the island could cost you your life. But as we go through time, you'll see that the North Sentinelese have a complicated history with outsiders and don't always respond the same way every time. And despite its remoteness, the North Sentinelese have thrived there for an estimated 2,000 to 30,000 years. And while much of their way of life is still a mystery, we know enough to understand this. They want nothing to do with the modern world and wish to remain isolated. So today, we're going to uncover the story of why the North Sentinelese choose a life of extreme isolation and why visitors are no longer welcome to the island. Prior to the 1880s, there's not much recorded history that's been documented about North Sentinel Island, but we could assume there have been previous contacts with outsiders and the Sentinelese, although we don't know whether they were hostile or friendly encounters. The first mentioning of North Sentinel Island was back in 1771, when the crew of the Diligent, which was a hydrographic survey vessel and owned by the East India Company, would spot something on the shore of the small island. British surveyor John Ritchie was aboard the vessel and noted that he saw a multitude of lights upon the shore, but there was no further investigation into the island. And nearly 100 years later, in 1867, Jeremiah Humphrey sailed to North Sentinel Island as he was searching for prisoners who had fled the nearby Andaman Islands. When Humphrey and his crew approached the shore, they saw a group of Sentinelese people fishing with bows and arrows, rather than fishing poles. Then, 13 years later in 1880, things would change, and curiosity surrounding the island would soon bring new visitors. British naval officer Maurice Vidal Portman would lead an expedition onto North Sentinel Island. As it's the first recorded time in history, someone has chosen to land on the island. After searching through the forest and coming across a semi-abandoned camp, Portman and his men found and captured 6 Sentinelese people, an elderly couple, and 4 children. They would then be taken to Port Blair, which is the capital of the Andaman Islands, located roughly 50 kilometers east of North Sentinel Island. And unfortunately, the 2 elders would quickly die of disease, as they were introduced to illnesses they had no immunity to. This would leave only the children left, and Portman would then write in his book, the 4 children were sent back to their homes with quantities of presents. This encounter would have terrified the children and would have given them plenty of stories to tell the tribe.